Welcome to the Rock is George podcast. I'm your host, George Dionne. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to hit like, follow, or subscribe on the platform that you're listening to us on. You can also check out my work at the loudest.com on the planet, knac.com, for exclusive hard rock and heavy metal interviews, live show coverage, album reviews, and more. My guest for episode 178 is Murielle. She is the vocalist of the Switzerland-based hard rock act, The Great Alone. The Great Alone released their debut album, Perception, on January 26th through Pavement Entertainment, and they're gearing up for their first U.S. tour in support of POWERMAN 5000. So here's Murielle to tell you more about it. If I knew absolutely nothing about The Great Alone, how would you describe the band's music to me?
I would say we play an alternative kind of music, alternative rock with a touch of metal that comes from our past with metal music and the fact that we listen a lot to metal music, mainly northern, like Swedish artists like In Flames, Dark Tranquillity, and so on. So it had an impact on our music. So I would say, yeah, alternative rock with a touch of metal, sort of a heavier sound than regular rock and roll, for sure.
I'd say that's pretty accurate. Listening to your latest album, Perception. Before we get to the new album, why don't you tell me how The Great Alone originally got together?
It all began with a simple conversation. Actually, we were talking about music. Vince was playing in a metal band at the time that he founded, and he just felt like it was time to do something different. He always wanted to compose rock music, something a bit lighter than metal. That allows to explore different horizons, you know. You have more freedom with rock and roll than metal music in general. And he told me that he wanted to do that, and I was like, yeah, you know, I think I want to sing, and I was like, yeah, try it. And it was kind of a joke at the beginning, and then I heard him composing a song that's Horizon from the album, and I heard this melody and I was like, I have an idea. I think I have an idea. I told him, yeah, you know, I think I have something for this song. Give me the song and I'll try something. And that's how it all began, with the chorus of Horizon, basically.
The new album, Perception, comes out on January 26th through Pavement Entertainment. This release has kind of been a long time coming. From what I understand, you recorded it in 2021. Was there anything preventing the release to come out sooner besides worldwide lockdowns?
It was the pandemic, of course, that delayed everything. And also the fact that we wanted to do things as best as we could to present something like a final achieved product. How we wanted to present the album the way we imagined it. So it took time. And after the release, you know, change of lineup, unfortunately, looking for the right people to work with, because this is not easy, especially when you begin with when you are no name. Nobody knows you, nobody wants you in the first place, unfortunately. So it's a little bit difficult to find the right people to work with. And then we found Pavement through our manager, who managed the previous Vince band, the metal band, and that's why it took so long. Basically, we had to be very patient. It was difficult to remain patient, you know, when you have, like, when everything is done, when you just want to play. It's difficult to take the time, but it was totally worth it.
The album's title, Perception, is not a song on the album. Why did you go with Perception for the title?
Because when I finished writing the lyrics, and when we recorded it especially, I remember our sound engineer told me, "You're talking about eyes like everywhere." And that's pretty right. I have references to eyes and perception in a certain way in a lot of music. And when I analyzed the lyrics, I was like, in the end, it's only talking about how you can perceive yourself, how other can perceive certain situation, um, what happens, I don't know, in the world, what happens in your life. It's all about perception. And that's how I ended with the Perception title.
Is this album a concept album or a collection of songs with similar themes?
It's more of a collection of songs with similar themes than a proper concept, because we didn't start with an idea, a general idea, and work around it. We worked, and then we realized that there was something, a red line. So no, it's not proper concept album.
Let's talk a little bit about the songs that you released ahead of the album. Let's talk about Beyond Dreams. I know you said that perception is all how we perceive things, but how do you perceive the lyrics of Beyond Dreams?
Beyond Dreams was, I think, the third song we recorded, we composed actually, and it came very easily because, you know, when we compose, Vince composes the music, then I compose the vocals usually. We work like that most of the time, and when I compose vocal melodies, there are some things that I do. I don't sing lyrics, you know. I just sing the words that come, just to have a melody, just to have an idea how it can sound with words, random words. And I realized that I have keywords that comes from time to time that creates sort of a theme, general theme. And then I was just writing around these keywords, and I came up with this story of one being like maybe abducted in the night by an entity, like a dark entity that's just waiting for you to sleep to come and take you, and that's how I came up with these lyrics.
I think we can all kind of relate to sort of that nightmarish thing coming to get us. So I can understand that aspect.
Yeah.
If you don't mind talking about the lyrical inspiration for Prism.
Prism was actually pretty much the same theme, but a bit different. It's just that I observed that with random videos that I saw on the internet, people talking about their fears. And one thing that I think the main fear in general is the fear of the dark. And I was thinking about that, and one thing leading to another. I was thinking, yeah, it's weird because people are change their behavior when night comes. When you walk in a street that you know very well, at noon, for example, you just walk and you do what you have to do. If you take the same street at night with no one, you don't feel the same. Like it's like it awakens your senses. You become more sensible to everything that's happening around you, and you have this kind of restless feeling sometimes. So yeah, that's the inspiration.
Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about the lyrics on Cell?
Cell talks about the prison of the mind, like when one does something that is not a good thing, when he or she feels a bit of guilt. And you know, when you feel guilt about something you've done, you start having these bad ideas in your head about yourself. You can find yourself trapped in sort of a prison, like the prison of the mind. And Cell talks about the fact that you're trapped in this prison, and you just want to escape, basically.
Do you have a fourth single planned for when the album comes out?
Full single is that we used it for the Spotify, the pitch on Spotify. It's Stars and Storms. It's one of my favorite songs on the album. It's one of my favorite to play, actually. I think it's one of the favorite for every member of the band, because it has this sort of duality between it's delicate in the first place, then it becomes very powerful, has a lot of energy. This is a song that represents very well the global energy in the album and the global energy that we are working on for shows.
You have music videos for 3 of your singles. They're very artistic and a little bit avant-garde. Are these concepts that you came up with yourself, or did you work with a director that kind of storyboarded this out with you?
Thank you. No, we came up with the ideas ourselves. Yeah, it was a lot of thinking and insomnia due to that. But no, we really like to create ourselves what we do. It's easy to say that because we know what we want. So when you know what you want, it's always easier to have idea and to be very creative, But no, we are working with a friend that's a director, but he just he films everything, and he always had at some point an idea of I can film this scene like that, and we do it that way. We are open to ideas, but the main 95% of the videos are planned, like storyboarded. Yeah.
Wanted to talk a little bit about the cover art for Perception. You sort of, obviously you're the model in the front, but in the back is sort of this wheel. I thought at first it was a zodiac wheel, but there's only 11 items on it, and this wheel follows the covers on your singles as well. So what is the meaning behind this little pictogram here?
We had the idea when we first started working on graphic ideas, graphic materials, to have one main design that would represent the album, and we came up with the idea of something circular very quickly, and then I was like, yeah, we have this kind of a bit mystical, dark vibe with the lyrics. The perception thing, maybe we can use something like a zodiac wheel. Actually, it was the inspiration behind that. Pretty obvious. And we came up with these 11 symbols that represent the songs, basically. And that's a little bit of nerdy to say, but if you look at the wheel properly, it looks like the inside of an eye, the pupil that you have. And that's why we chose to put the wheel on the front cover as well. And as the cover is a little bit like it's me, kind of, you can interpret that the way you want, but it's sort of me floating somewhere looking for something and like lost in this perception universe, So it fits the idea pretty well. So that's the idea behind the wheel.
You have this pretty big tour coming up here in the U.S. You're opening up for POWERMAN 5000 in September Mourning. It starts in March of 2024. How does a band from Switzerland end up on this tour in the U.S.?
Because we have an amazing manager. It was a very, sometimes it's very strange because as I said previously, when we were talking about the gap between the recording and the release of the album, sometimes you have a series of bad things happening, and suddenly everything's just looks fine. You have just everything is right for you. And we so after this kind of not very pleasant 2 years, we finally got in touch with the manager that Vince had with the previous band. um was it was completely, it was like, I don't remember how exactly, but it was like out of the blue like that. He wrote a message, and we told him, yeah, we're always looking for a manager. And he was like, I have time for you. I have time for you. So finally, things are just working the way they should have. And then we got the pavement deal, and it's through pavement that we arrived at POWERMAN 5000. So because of the label and the manager two together, yeah.
Have you ever been to the United States? Maybe not as a band, but on your own personal business?
Personally, no. So I'm pretty happy to come. We're all pretty happy to come, but Vince already visited the US in, I think, 2017. He toured with the other band he had, but it was more on the West Coast, I think. And we will do the Midwest is East Coast, so we'll discover the country.
I noticed on one of the stops, it's just you guys in September Morning. Are you going to get a little bit of a longer set there?
Yes, we will play 45 minutes when we play with September Morning only, and it will be around 30 minutes with POWERMAN. Yeah, so it's pretty great. As we play rock and we have not that long songs, we can show a pretty good sample of what we do. So that's pretty cool. Within 45 minutes, we can play almost the whole album, so it's great.
I kind of like the idea of the differences in sounds between your band and POWERMAN 5000. They're a little more electronica kind of thing in the back,
Yeah.
heavy metal, and you guys are a little more straight up kind of proggy alternative rock.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and September Morning has also another kind of genre, metal, like very interesting. Yeah, it's a very interesting tour for us, I think. And for the audience, it will be interesting to have three bands completely different. Yeah.
Well, you're not going to play as a duo, so do you have your full band ready for the live shows?
Yes, of course, of course, of course. We're working all together since we recorded the album. So yeah, we're ready. We are very impatient, excited, and ready.
Well, I hope to catch you here in my end. I believe you're hitting New Bedford, Massachusetts at the Vault
Yeah.
on March 14th. So I'm hoping to make that show.
Yeah, great. Would be great to meet you. Yeah.
You supported Black Mirrors in London for a show back in July. Was this like your first opportunity as a live band to play the new music?
Indeed, it was. Yeah. Yes, it was a bit complicated for us to find shows because, um, you know, that's why the POWERMAN tour is an amazing opportunity. Beside the fact that we play with POWERMAN on this tour, it's an amazing opportunity to have kind of a something to show. Promoters, they wanna see what you did live previously, and that's why we found this show in London with Black Mirrors, and it was almost the only show we found because we are no names and it's so hard, and we had almost no one behind us at the time, so it's even more difficult. That's why we're happy to have a team that works for us. We can rely on these people. That's very important. So yeah.
Do you have plans for live performances after the POWERMAN run?
We have a few things that are not confirmed now, and we are looking for shows also in the US for maybe fall or winter. We'll see how the public reacts we'll see the main reaction, how people like, or we'll see.
Do you work on any other music projects? I know you mentioned Vince used to play in a heavy metal band. Is there anything else that you work on?
No, Vince and I, we just work on TGA, and the additional musicians have side projects as well. But they're like, I think our drummer has a like metalcore project that he is starting now, and the bassist plays in a metal band. Actually, he plays in the metal band that Vince used to play in. Both professional musicians, so they have they do their work, but we are the main project they have.
I know a lot of time has passed since you actually wrote and recorded this album. Could we assume that you're working on music for the next album?
Always. We've been working for new music even when we were recording the album. No, we have a few songs that are pretty ready to be recorded. Yeah, we don't like to wait the last minute to compose. So when we have idea, we just record them. We have a home studio. We work there, and we record every idea that comes in our mind. So we have a lot of things ready to be recorded. Yeah.
Well, before I let you go, I wanted to know how you decided on the band name, The Great Alone.
Well, I was looking for a name that was that represented the image that we wanted to present to the audience, to the public. And we had this idea of I had this idea of loneliness in my mind, and I was like, I just wrote alone on a piece of paper, and I was thinking about this name few days, let it do the work in my head. And I was like, yeah, we'd like to have this kind of individuality, independence sort of vibe around the name of the band. And finally I added great, because it resonates also with the idea of sometimes when you're alone and you're working on something, or when you feel alone, good things can come out of this state, and good alone was not great, so I tried great alone. I was like, that's good, and Vince told me we should add the as the great alone. Sounds like a good name, and we kept it since the first the early stages of the band.
Well, Murielle, those are all the questions I have for you today. The new album by The Great Alone is Perception. It comes out January 26th through Pavement Entertainment. You're hitting the U.S. with POWERMAN 5000 starting in March. And I want to thank you for coming on the podcast to talk more about it. And I wish you the best of luck with everything.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you. And see you maybe on the tour.
Once again, I want to thank Murielle of The Great Alone for coming on the Rock is George podcast. Be sure to check out their latest album, Perception, out now through Pavement Entertainment. Head over to your favorite music streaming app, take a listen to the album. If you like what you hear, buy a physical copy, support the artist. For all things The Great Alone, head over to their official website, tgaofficial.com. I also want to thank Barbara Papa George and Pavement Entertainment for making this interview possible. You've been great. I've been George Dionne. Discover your next favorite artist on the Rock is George podcast.